Previous Moscow. We are Sage India, but we are extremely disappointed that we aren't able to join you at the conference. However, our Sage team, comprising Avni Jasti, Kriti Jhanji, Aman Mihir, and I, Chanakya Varma, would like to give you a glimpse into our organization, 18minus. Good morning. Now, before we begin to explain what 18minus is or what 18minus does, I would like to ask you a very simple question. How many lives can you touch? How many lives can an ordinary person with an extraordinary idea touch? 1 million? But in just Mumbai, about 2.1 million children are homeless. What about 10 million? But as per official records, over 12 million children in India have never attended school. What about 100 million? But in India, over 115 million children do not have access to clean water. The problem was that in a country as big and as densely populated in India, no number was big enough. So we decided to dream so big as no one had ever done. How about 500 million? Now, to put that into perspective, if you took all the people in North America and put them in the same continent as India's children, India's legal minors aged below the age of 18, you would still have India's children comprising 51% of the population. India has so many legal minors that they comprise 1/14 of the world's population. Now, the obvious problem is, with so many small people in such a big number, you have a big problem. And the solution to that is 18minus. Now, before that, what is 18minus? 18minus, by definition, is 18minus is an enterprise that deals with children, children's rights, children's demands, children's interests. In a democratic country like India, people below the age of 18 are not given a platform to voice out their opinions. Indian citizens below the age of 18 are not given the platform, the forum to voice out their opinions. And that's what 18minus plans to do. Now, who is 18minus? Who? Technically, anyone below the age of 18 is part of 18minus. That, well, makes us the largest organization in the world with over 500 million members. But on a more serious note, 18minus was a team started in Bangalore. We have around 60 members as of now, and we are expanding substantially. Now, what is our mission? Our mission is to provide the non-voting population of the country a platform to voice their opinions. We want to give them the opportunity to voice out their demands, their concerns. We want to make their opinion heard, considered, and eventually implemented by the lawmakers of the country. What is our vision? We dream of a world that is truly democratic, that is so transparent, that allows the rights and freedom of expression to every citizen. We want a world, a democracy that is not just of the adult citizens, not just by the adult citizens, and not just for the adult citizens. We want a world that is truly of the people, for the people, and by the people. Now, the bigger question is how. How does 18minus plan to bring about this entire change? And that is through our Accelerate program. Now, by definition, it is an incubator program. It is like just another institution, an academy, a university, where people come in, children come in, and we train them on the basics of politics, civic engagement, entrepreneurship. Now, if someone wants to get a career in finances, we train them on business management, macro economics. We train them how to become a better leader. If someone wants to enter politics, we tell them on how policies work, civic engagement. We create a breeding ground for the change makers of tomorrow. Now, how does this exactly work? Now, this entire pyramid in front of you is the 18minus Accelerate ecosystem. And like I mentioned, India has over 500 million legal minors under the age of 18. And we are targeting just 1 million out of that. 1 million for two reasons. Mainly, since the 18minus ecosystem is largely on the internet, we want to make the most out of the internet. That is why it's just 1 million. Now, how does this work? Now, in this whole crowd of 500 million Indians, about 1 million pay a very, very nominal fee to join what we call the 18minus Foundation, the bottom tier of the pyramid. Now, this fee is just 2 cents. People often say, here's my 2 cents for your opinion. For the first time, we're going to take 2 cents for their opinion. Now, just to give you a comparison, an Indian rupee is about 0.17 of a dollar. $1 is about 60 Indian rupees. So we're just taking a fee of just 1 Indian rupee. Now, you might laugh and say it's such a small amount, how can a business survive on this? But if a country is as big as India, 1 rupee makes a lot of difference, my friends. Now, what happens at the 18minus Foundation? Now, the 18minus Foundation is sort of like a socio-political Facebook. It is a social network where people post views on national policies. If there is an issue with safety and concern of women, they post an issue on that. On national security, something to do with that. And Well, how does it work on Twitter, right? The more sense you make, the more popular you are, the more followers you get, the more likes you get. And if you get a lot of likes, what does it mean? That means you have a higher change quotient. 18 minus measures a person's potential for change by its change quotient. What happens if you have a high enough change quotient? You get a chance to join the 18 minus Academy. 5,000 children all over the country every year will get a chance to join the 18 minus Academy, where they are trained and created into professional young leaders. What happens after that? Well, their databases are maintained. Now, these people do not just have online change quotients, they also have offline change quotients. They have to do on the ground work, maybe go in their locality and spread awareness about rainwater harvesting or about carpooling or creating that entire change. Now, if they really make a lot of sense, they get the rare chance to join the 18 minus YLC or the Young Leaders Confluence. The Young Leaders Confluence will be 1,000 kids, 1,000 18 minus Indians all across the country who have the potential to be the future, the best brains and the smartest brains in the future. And these people will discuss and dissect national issues. Well, that isn't done yet. The ultimate goal of 18 minus to create the 18 minus parliament. Now, most countries have two houses in their parliament. One, the House of the Elders, one, the House of the Commons. And what 18 minus plans to do is create the House of the Young. Now, like I did mention, our goals were three: to get the opinion of the youth heard, considered and implemented. Now, in the 18 minus foundation, everyone is entitled to voice out their opinions. So yes, their opinions are being heard. At the YLC, national policies are being discussed, so their opinions are being considered. And lastly, the parliament. A parliament will be recognized by the government. Let's say a government bill has to get a certain majority, or the parliament can ask the government to, by funneling out the opinion of 18 minus and say, look, this is what the young people of the country want. We want this to happen. And that's how our opinion is implemented. Well, I know the question you're asking, how much money does this all make? I mean, you're taking 2 cents, $1, $3 at levels. I mean, how much does it add up? It adds up to quite a lot. $27,750 from just our first year. Now, to put that into perspective, in a country like India, where $1 60 rupees, we're making over 1 million Indian rupees. Well, another question you might have is, what happens after I turn 18? Well, you don't have to completely leave the system. You get the chance to become an 18 minus mentor. An 18 minus mentor can curate debates, can act as a guest faculty at the academy to train other children, to create that entire contagious vibe. Now, to put our economics in more concrete form, we get all our revenue from the 18 minus accelerator program, or well, most of it. Now, the operational costs for running the website, for running the forum, and for running the 18 minus academy are there. But the difference of that is our profit. Now, from our profit, we do 4 flagship programs. One is 18 minus creates. Under 18 minus creates, we have a variety of products which we create for social good, for environmental good, or for other people. Now, these products are sold, so they also contribute to our revenue. 18 minus talks. 18 minus talks, as you would read from our annual report, are our debates and our seminars which we hold. These are physical seminars which will also be displayed on the internet. Now, we ask eminent personalities, corporate heads, political entities, change makers and inspiring, motivating leaders to come and speak to children. We believe that empowering the future is the first step to having a better future. 18 minus C's. Now, most countries do a lot for their blind people, but not a single country in the world has a constitution which is printed in Braille. We believe that unless there is a constitution printed in Braille, unless the blind are aware of their rights, complete empowerment can never be done. So 18 minus has created something called 18 minus C's, where we give the fundamental rights, the charter of the Indian Constitution in Braille for the blind people to see. And lastly, 18 minus educates. We believe that financial backgrounds should not be a deterrent for anyone's political future, anyone's change-making quotient. So if a student suffers from certain economic difficulties, 18 minus educates them by providing them a scholarship to make sure their education does not suffer. And lastly, our revenue in the 18 minus academy has something called 18 minus unites. Each batch of the 18 minus academy will have to work on a certain United Nations Millennium Development Goal. Now, we believe that this is an important step because India is a developing country. And they could take different issues. For example, if some issue has bad water, there is cholera or jaundice bacteria floating around in the water, then they would have to address the issue of child mortality. In another region, if environment is the issue, then they will address environment. And this way we believe that every year the Academy and its various batches will address every MDG one by one. Is a very green organization. For an organization that is dedicated towards the future, we know that serving the environment and saving the environment is extremely important. Hence we have various campaigns. We have reborn notebooks, which you will read about in the annual report. We also have a paper bags, which is clearly mentioned in our annual report. Our reflective blankets, which is addressed towards street children. And we have these community collection drives to make sure that waste is not thrown into open junkyards and landfills. Now, utilize the community resource. We spoke to a lot of organizations in this think tank. We spoke to Takshashila, EduInvest. We spoke to political parties like the Indian National Congress, the Nav Bharat Democratic and the Bangalore Political Action Committee. We organized debates with Debate. We spoke to online magazines like The Alternative and the Janagra Center for Citizenship and Democracy. We created a very big vibe. Now, how about our mentors? We spoke to some of the most influential people in the country, like R.K. Mishra, who won the Lead India campaign in 2008. Nitin Pai, who was a co-director of the Takshira Institute for Training. We spoke to Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, who is called India's richest woman, and she's a part of the BPAC. And we spoke to Nandan Nilekani, who is the owner, who is the CEO of India's biggest, South Asia's, maybe the world's biggest organization. Ladies and gentlemen, we small people spoke to a lot of big people with big companies. And you know what they said? 18minus is a great idea. Now, collecting community resource. Every organization can use clothes, they can use newspapers, they can create money, but we believe that the most important community resource which can be collected is public opinion. Hence we hosted our debates as debate because we believe an idea cannot be killed. An idea is what changes the country. Now, media. As an organization for the youth, we know that media and publicity is extremely important. Hence, even Deccan Chronicle, India's biggest daily, covering or reaching out to over 40-50 million readers, published us and covered us in a feature article. Even on the internet, we are extremely active on Tumblr, Facebook and Twitter because in today's new age, reaching out to youngsters over the internet is the best way to do it. And in fact, we recently organized a campaign, Stop This Felony, against rape. And our volunteers were so inspired by us, they decided to take a step further, organize protest marches, petition marches, reaching out to over 50,000 Bangaloreans. That is the impact we generated. And it's not just us. Famous other organizations like the BPAC, the Debate Club and R.K. Mishra have publicly endorsed our work, being testimony to our success. Now, looking beyond, why is this idea sustainable? This idea is sustainable for the simple reason that the world population is increasing. The ratio of people under the age of 18 to the ratio of people over the age of 18 will just increase. You can't keep excluding people from democracy. Now, succession. Who takes over after we turn 18? Now, since a certain fraction of the 18minus parliament will turn 18 every year, they will be replaced by younger deserving children, and hence this entire ecosystem will be dynamic and fresh, never stagnating. Is there potential for expansion? Of course there is potential for expansion. Now, the United Nations in their survey said that there were 2 billion children, 2 billion people under the age of 18 across the world. Now, like I said before, almost half the world, over 75% of the world is democratic. Now, a country is really democratic if it includes the opinion of everyone. And hence, that's the best part about 18minus. It's not a physical model. It is a virtual model. It is the internet model. It is the new age model that can incorporate everyone's opinion. And as a famous person once said, a 16-year-old in India has more in common with a 16-year-old in New York than a 60-year-old in India. The entire world. Ladies and gentlemen, they often said that 4 ideas changed the world. 1 was the discovery of fire. 2nd was the invention of the wheel. The 3rd was the invention of language. Ladies and gentlemen, you are staring at idea number 4, 18minus. And this is Chanakya Varma.
And I'm Kriti Jhanji. We're Sage India, hoping to see you next year. Das Vidanya.